Hi everyone, welcome to the Corbin Report. Trying out this new name, seeing how it goes. Talking about football, the trades, quarterback carousel, which teams making moves, which teams losing players, hurting themselves, and just mentioning some baseball, just so you know. First off, we got Khalil Mack to the Chargers, and then Melvin Ingram used to be on the Chargers. Los Angeles lost him last season to the Kansas City Chiefs. They get a defensive end and linebacker in Khalil Mack. Chicago Bears traded Mack to the Chargers for a 2022 second round pick and sixth rounder 2023. This is interesting to me. They traded Mack essentially for nothing. This is my opinion. The Chargers won this trade. Where I can see where the Bears think they won is last season Mack had surgery on his foot. Alright, on to baseball really quickly. Baseball is back, and there was a lockout. It seemed like a short lockout, which after I researched and looked it up, I was right. 99 days. That seems short because, less than 100. You do the math though. What is that? 28. That's 1 month. 28.56, 28.64. About 3 months. This is according to the New York Times. Not the 3 months, but the 99 days. So pretty much the same thing. It's not, but it is. Alright, Freddie Freeman signed with the Los Angeles Dodgers on a 6-year, $152 million contract according to CBS. Also, Jock Peterson is now on the Giants on a 1-year, $6 million deal, according to SI.com. Alright, this is a big move for quarterbacks. The Seattle Seahawks traded Russell Wilson to Denver Broncos. Wilson wanted to go to Denver. Denver had Drew Lock at quarterback, and I would think they would have kept him. Instead, they traded for Russell Wilson, and Seattle gets Drew Lock. Seattle still gets a quarterback back. They already have receivers. They are missing their defense. Seattle receives Drew Lock, tight end Noah Fant, and defensive end Shelby Harris. 5 draft picks going to Seattle, 2 first-round picks, 2 second-round picks, and a 5th-round pick. Denver gets Russell Wilson and a 4th-rounder. The Seahawks got a lot for trading Wilson and a draft pick. To me, the Broncos lost their defense when they lost Van Miller last season to the Rams. I know he's one player, but he could be a leader. Seattle now has a good tight end to go along DK Metcalf and Tyler Lockett. They do have a running game. Then they released Bobby Wagner, not smart. Who is going to be their defensive leader now? Alright, here's something interesting. And what I say, you guys may not like it, not for the sports, but in general. Carson Wentz to the Redskins, or if you call them their new name, the Washington Commanders. This move was from the owner. Washington has a quarterback that they were doing fine with, and I believe they made the playoffs with their current team. And this quarterback was Taylor Heineke. Now they have a prominent quarterback in Wentz. Colts trading Wentz was not smart. They did good last season despite missing the playoffs. Well, keep listening because they did eventually get a prominent quarterback that should help the Colts and that quarterback out. According to CBS, Colts received 2022 third-round pick, 2023 third-round pick that escalates to a second-rounder if Wentz plays 70% of snaps. 2022 second-round pick, and Washington receives Wentz and a 2020 second-round pick. Wentz with the Colts last season threw for 3,563 yards and 27 touchdowns. In 2021, according to Pro Football Reference, the amount of touchdowns Wentz threw was tied for the second most since he entered the league. Additionally, he completed 322 passes out of 516 attempts. This is the 3rd most completions and attempts he threw for. He threw a lot last season. 62.4% completion percentage. Their current quarterback, Taylor Heineke, who was a starter, threw for almost the same amount of yards, 3,419, 20 touchdowns, and 15 interceptions with a 65 completion percentage. He completed 321 passes and attempted 494. He didn't do horrible. Heineke and Wentz will fight for the starting gig, which can be healthy for both. Washington did good in signing Wentz. Alright, on to the Cleveland Browns. This is just the first of some news for him. There's going to be some more later as well. So the Cleveland Browns placed their franchise tag on David Njoku. I'm pretty sure I messed up his name. To me, this is funny because in the 2020 season, he almost didn't want to come back. He didn't play in 2021, and now he got placed with a franchise tag. The reason he didn't want to come back is because then Cleveland signed Austin Hooper. Here is where the Browns did good in the beginning. They traded for Amari Cooper, along with 2022 fifth-round pick and a swap of 2022 sixth-rounders. I would say Browns win this trade, and the Cowboys lose a good receiver. Browns win this even though they are losing Jarvis Landry, another receiver, at the same time. They also released Austin Hooper, who played with the Atlanta Falcons. The good news is they still have their running back, their original tight end, and stay tuned for the quarterback they traded for, if you already haven't heard. This is just something I'm just going to mention, in case you really want to know. Aaron Rodgers and Packers agreed to a 4-year extension. That's it. Packers sign Rodgers, and guess which star-studded player they lose next. Now, this may shock you. The Dallas Cowboys did something smart. Yes, I said that. I'll repeat it. The Dallas Cowboys did something smart. They restructured Zach Martin and Dak Prescott's contract to create $22 million in cap space. If this was after trading Cooper, they made room to sign players and trade for them. Now after losing Cooper, which receiver will they sign? The Los Angeles Chargers again. This time, they signed Mike Williams to a 3-year deal. The Chargers keeps their good receiver after improving their defense. Them keeping Williams means they still have their 2 receivers. By 2 receivers, I mean Keenan Allen and Mike Williams. Williams is tall and can catch the ball at his highest point when thrown to. Oh, this is an interesting one. The Kansas City Chiefs. They re-signed Josh Gordon. They get a receiver who is good, and guess what? Their receivers get switched around. See who they signed and who they lost. That will be coming up in a few. The Tennessee Titans signed Harold Landry to an extension. They signed Landry, who was part of their defense. This is a smart move in keeping a key piece and not letting him go. And now this is funny. The Oakland Raiders signed Max Crosby to an extension. This is smart as well. He's a good defensive player. Just short. And the Raiders, they make some moves later as well. You'll find out soon. Dolphins keep Emmanuel Ogbah. As said the last 2 times, Miami keeps defensive player as well. Alright, this one might be a little interesting. The Pittsburgh Steelers signed Mitchell Trubisky. Last season, he was the backup to Josh Allen in Buffalo. He now has a chance to be a starting quarterback again. This is after Ben retired. Trubisky was drafted by the Chicago Bears. He was their starting quarterback at one point. He will be competing against Dwayne Haskins and Mason Rudolph for the starting role. This is not in my notes, but I'm saying it a cappella. Before Trubisky signed the Steelers, I thought Rudolph would be the guy. Now with Trubisky coming, there's going to be some competition. Pittsburgh has 1 receiver in Chase Claypool after losing one of their receivers. And if you don't know who it is, you'll find out. And they also have their 2nd-year tight end, Pat Freiermuth. Alrighty, on to Arizona we go. Arizona, they lost a key piece, but they also kept a key player. They also kept a good player in James Conner, who's one of their offensive players on the team. They're running back. This is smart. Sometimes it's good to keep who you have. The chemistry is already there, and when you win, I would think it makes much more sweeter. Yeah, I know I said something that's interesting. I don't know if this is interesting or fascinating for this one. The Jacksonville Jaguars. They actually did something, or tried to do something. So they signed tight end Evan Engram, who was with the Giants. They also signed guard Brandon Scherf and receiver Christian Kirk. Last I remember, I believe Kirk was with the Cardinals. Jacksonville Jaguars making moves before the draft. Signing Engram is good because now they have a prominent player to me who is well known. Yes, they drafted Trevor Lawrence. This season we will see if that was smart after they drafted Gardner Minshew and he was fine. Jaguars bolstered their offense getting good receiver, tight end, and linemen. Now during the draft, they need to work on signing and drafting players on the defensive side of the ball. I wouldn't worry too much on the special teams if I were the Jaguars. They worked on their offense, now their defense should be their next priority. They do have a running back who is consistent. I'm talking about James Robinson. Now back to the Miami Dolphins and Los Angeles Chargers. Dolphins signed quarterback Teddy Bridgewater. Miami gets a good backup quarterback in Bridgewater, and he could possibly take the starting job from Tua. I think both players are good, especially before their injuries. Los Angeles Chargers, they're expected to sign J.C. Jackson from the New England Patriots. They get good defensive players. The Chargers are not messing around this offseason. Okay, this is news, and as a Patriots fan, it's kind of interesting. New England trades Chase Winovich to Browns for Mack Wilson. Overall, fair trade. I like Winovich. Both are good at their position to me. It's interesting. And safety Marcus Williams signs with the Ravens, leaves the New Orleans Saints. He now goes to a team that can make the playoffs with the current roster they have. Back to New England, and then New Orleans and Oakland. New England trades Shaq Mason to Tampa Bay Buccaneers for a 5th-round pick. Interesting trade from New England, smart for Buccaneers, improving their defense. New Orleans signs former Jet safety Marcus May. Smart decision after they just lost Marcus Williams. Mind you, I was writing this after the news came out. Not right after, but a few days or weeks. Not good for New York losing defensive player. Alright, here's another good thing the Raiders did. They are to sign Chandler Jones and trade Yannick for Colts corner Rockison. Oakland is making moves and improving their defense. In case you didn't know, their coach is Josh McDaniels, former offense coordinator for the New England Patriots. And guess what? The Tennessee Titans released Julio Jones. He was probably number 2 guy behind A.J. Brown, and despite the Titans making the playoffs, they released him. Can he reunite with his original team or go somewhere else? Tennessee does get Woods, who is another good receiver. Bills making move. They signed Von Miller after he leaves the Rams. Also, former Buccaneers tight end O.J. Howard. The Bills improve their defense and get a second tight end. Now they can keep passing and even run the ball in a 2 tight end set. However, they released Cole Beasley. To me, that was not smart. After losing Robert Woods, the Los Angeles Rams signed wide receiver Allen Robinson. LA gets another receiver who could be their 1 and 2 receiver. Now Kupp should be the first, and Robinson might be the second. Robinson, when played with the Bears, I think he was the 1 receiver. And the Cleveland Browns. This is not the big news. This is part of it, not the main news. Quarterback Baker Mayfield requests trade. I don't know why he is or why he did. He was doing fine there with me and was or is their quarterback for the team. All right. Now here is where it gets interesting for the Raiders. The Green Bay Packers are trading, guess who? Davante Adams to the Oakland Raiders. As I said earlier, the Raiders are making moves. They extended Max Crosby, also have Josh Jacobs as their running back. To me, they need to get some linebackers and corners. Even though they do have Chandler Jones, who's defensive end, can't play linebacker, and they got 1 corner, need a little more. Raiders signed Adams to a 5-year, $141.25 million deal. Packers 2022 first and second round picks. I forgot the Raiders are Darren Waller and Hunter Renfrow. Oakland is going to have a good offense. Now the Raiders have multiple prominent people. And can I say star player? Can we consider Waller a star player? Now their offense is nice. Who is the defense going to guard? Raiders' new head coach, Josh McDaniels, doing good in the offseason so far. This is just something to mention. Buccaneers agree with terms with cornerback Logan Ryan, who reunites with his former teammate, Tom Brady. Alright, if you're a Browns fan and you were waiting for this news, and you haven't heard it yet, here is the big news for the Browns. They trade for quarterback Deshaun Watson. Watson is back to playing this time, not with the Texans, but with the Browns. He comes to a good team with a good running game. They just got Amari Cooper. They have David Njoku, sorry for messing up his name, and a steady defense. My concern would be, can Watson be another quarterback in the Browns quarterback carousel? That's my question. They already had a quarterback, and they traded for Watson. They had Mayfield, and to me, he was probably their franchise quarterback. Now they're not. Can Watson be that guy? Or in the future, will the Browns trade for him? Can he just be someone in their quarterback carousel? Alright, now here's where the Chiefs get a decent player. They trade for Steelers receiver. Or not trade, sorry. They signed Steelers receiver Juju Smith-Schuster. To me, at this time when I wrote the notes, it was not smart in my opinion. That's what I said at first. And a few days later, it could end up being smart for him because one of the Chiefs players leaves or gets traded. Another Steeler leaves, and they sign with the Cowboys, James Washington. Steelers now have one receiver in Chase Claypool. And Cowboys get a receiver after losing Cooper. I forgot they had CeeDee Lamb. Now they have Washington, Dak Prescott, Elliott, their offensive line. They need to draft a defensive lineman in the draft since they lost Randy Gregory. And as goes on to the next point, Randy Gregory signs with the Broncos. Denver gets a defensive player after they lost Von Miller to the Rams last season, and then this season they traded away defensive lineman Shelby Harris. Okay, this was just weird to me. Eagles released Fletcher Cox, and then they bring him back. I didn't look it up. I don't know why. I just know in the articles, or two more articles, that's basically it. And a lot of these notes are from Pro Football Reference or NFL.com, or if I mentioned like SI.com, Sports Illustrated. The Cleveland Browns, they send their backup Case Keenum to the Buffalo Bills, who will now back up Allen. And the Browns signed former Colts backup Jacoby Brissett, who's now going to back up Watson. The Bills did good. I'd say the Bills are making smart moves other than Reese Beasley. And yes, I know I said that already. And I know I said this already too. Titans acquire Robert Woods. It's good for them after they released Julio Jones. Now the question is, who will sign him? Alright. If you didn't see this, you already know Carson Wentz got traded and now the Colts needed a quarterback. Well, the Colts got a quarterback, but they traded for Atlanta Falcons quarterback Matt Ryan. I did not see this coming. This should be good for Ryan because his team hasn't been good for a while. And as mentioned earlier, the Colts did fine with Wentz. Matt Ryan last season threw for 3,968 yards. He completed 375 passes out of 560 attempts with a 67 completion percentage. 20 touchdowns and 12 interceptions. Statistically speaking, the Colts signing Ryan helps them in getting a quarterback who threw for more yards. This was without Julio Jones. To win, though, you need to score points. They both threw through 20 touchdowns. The Colts do have a consistent running game. The Falcons have Cordell Patterson, who is really a receiver. To me, they haven't had a consistent running game since Tevin Coleman and Devontae Freeman. And then, of course, after the Falcons trade away their quarterback, they need a quarterback, right? After the Raiders are making moves, the Falcons get a former starting quarterback who was a backup, and more than likely will now be a starting quarterback again, and Marcus Mariota. Remember, he used to be the Titans starting quarterback before they got Ryan Tannehill. And I would say Matt Ryan was the Falcons' franchise quarterback, and they got rid of him. Alright, here is the other big news. And I might save it for last, I might not. I'll skip it and I'll go like third or fourth to last, maybe second. Alright, Malcolm Butler. This is not the big news. Big news coming up. Malcolm Butler returns to New England. This is good in my opinion. New England gets a steady defensive in Butler. This is my opinion. New England gets a steady defensive player in Butler. Oh yeah, I messed that up. They lost Gilmore last season to the Carolina Panthers, and they lost Jackson this season to the Chargers. Also, Packers are not doing so well. They lose another receiver in Marcus Valdez-Scantling to the Chiefs. So the Chiefs now have 2 receivers after the big news is they lose someone. The Chiefs traded Tyreek Hill to the Miami Dolphins. I saw something on Facebook. Now Miami has Tyreek Hill, Jalen Waddle, Devontae Parker as receivers, Mike Gesicki as tight end, and Chase Edmonds as running back. Didn't they lose their coach? I looked it up, and yes, they did. So now Tyreek Hill's gone from the Chiefs. How are they going to do? And yes, Juju Smith-Schuster signed. He was going to probably be the 2. Now, since Hill's gone, he'll most likely be the 1. Or the 2 still, behind Kelsey. If Kelsey's the 1, he would have been 3 behind Kelsey and Hill. Now he'll be either 2 or the 1. And Valdez-Scantling will be the 2 or 3. And then last but not least, Bobby Wagner and the Los Angeles Rams have mutual interest. This would be good for the Rams, as Von Miller went to the Bills. Also, Wagner has a Super Bowl, and the Rams are coming off a Super Bowl victory. So, this has just been interesting, Quarterbacks going different places, receivers leaving go different places, even defensive players. Packers losing their receivers. And then, Raiders making moves in the offseason. And, other stuff. And quarterback switching, which is just really weird. If you have any questions, please comment. You can follow me on YouTube at The Corbin Report or on the Anchor app. Alright, talk to you soon. Next time. Bye.